Hello homies and homettes, and welcome to an era when men wearing skirts was considered normal fashion. And no, this is not the 2024 Met Gala. This is ancient Greece, where people would say things like, "This is Sparta!" I begin this journey by squaring up against the flagpole, because purple really isn't my color. I then proceed to pick up some sticks and some stone. After all, this is a survival crafting game, and we need resources to be able to craft some things. There are a lot of cool features that this game has to offer, like when you crouch, you go partially deaf. Oh, the audio changes. I think I'm deaf. I must be deaf when I squat. Next, I search through the crafting menu and find that I can make myself a primitive axe. I then proceed to go chop down some trees and gather some feathers and some wood. As I continued exploring, I heard a noise very similar to the noise I used to hear coming from my parents' bedroom as a child. Strangely, this time it just seems to be a pig. It was rather aggressive and almost ended our life. Thankfully, I'm a strong hunky man, and it looks like we're having pork chops for dinner. With my heart still beating quite rapidly from that crazy encounter, I harvested some more material so I can make myself this spear and this shield. Next, I ran through this meadow of flowers. They call them yarrow. Why did I do this? Well, that's because this quest told me to. Confused on what I need to be doing or where I am, I open my map and turns out that we are on the Isle of Arrival. I guess that this is kind of like a starter area where we learn the ropes of the game. Whilst enjoying a peaceful stroll along the beach, I was granted a point in athleticism. 2028 Olympics, here I come. Maybe I can represent Australia in breakdancing. Other than the quest that was currently given to me, I didn't know what I was doing, so I figured I'd just follow these purple flagpoles to see where they lead. I then discovered this golden chest at the front of what seems to be some sort of temple. Inside the golden chest was some crafting recipes, which seems like an odd thing to leave in a treasure chest. At least have a little person hide inside it and then jump out and scare me. I'd be happy with some gold and some treasure as well. Further along the road, I found some other humans. I was glad to see other skirt-wearing men like me. I went to greet them, but they didn't seem to be too friendly. With their aggressive stances, I turned around and started running. One of them smacked me in the back of the head. This is my high school experience all over again, getting bullied by men in skirts. I continued exploring and saw some glowing lights just floating over this other chest. I thought that maybe I'd eaten some weird mushrooms or something. I didn't, but I went to go investigate and saw that there was a sword just sitting here. I could really use a weapon like this, except I can't seem to pick it up. It's just teasing me, kind of like this. You will never get this. You will never get this. La 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 la. I then approached this chest and noticed that it was called a night seal, which I'm assuming I can only open this at night. We have now gained a new quest that instructs us to build a base. This location seems kind of central on the map, so I decided to build it right here. I don't quite have enough resources to be able to finish the build right now, so I immediately go and start gathering some, which then allows me to finish off this build. I am by no means an amazing architect, but this square little box right now is what we call home. After further exploration, we found this cave. Of course, curiosity gets the best of me and I have to go and discover what's inside. I discover a room with some purple crystals inside. Surrounded by these crystals is some hunched over crackheads. And if Breaking Bad has taught me one thing, it is to avoid such people. As night fell, I saw this random ruined structure right here with another treasure chest. I went to go investigate, and in this treasure chest, we got a simple spear recipe and some gold coins. Finally, actual treasure. Also, now that it's nighttime, I went to go and return to the night seal treasure chest. As I approached, the music changed. Then I got jumped by these random crackheads. Holy crap, ouch. Stupid. Lost. Okay. Yeah, take that. You wanna fight, bitch? You wanna... Ouch. Okay, die. Shoot. Dodge. Yeah, one down. Yeah, other one. Come back. Oh crap, I'm dead. I'm dead. Frick! I died. And then I respawned at the very start. I think I need to set a respawn place back at base. The following morning, I returned back to my place of death. Oddly enough, this is my gravestone. I will admit, this is a pretty cool looking gravestone. Also kind of weird to just have a random hooded man just staring down at your death. Anyways, I returned back to my base and inspected my bed. Apparently I need to claim this so I can have this as a respawn place. I then go ahead and make some crafting benches. This particular one is the butcher's block. It's where you place the carcasses of dead animals and chop them up into various pieces. This is where we get our raw meat, some boar fat, some pelt, and some animal bones. We continue this several times, just pulling whole carcasses out of who knows where. I can only assume somewhere in between my skirt. Next, I made a storage chest so I could store all of my valuable items. I had now made myself a bow and arrow and was feeling kind of confident to go and try and kill some things, starting with these little crackheads around the purple crystals. I managed to take them down, curing all of their addictions. Then I wanted to try and harvest some of these purple crystals for myself. Unfortunately, a primitive axe isn't going to work. I investigated further into this cave and saw a golden chest. As I approached this golden chest, we saw some more crackheads. I wasn't interested in fighting right now, so we made a swift escape. Psych, I turned around and kicked these guys in the face with my spear. This particular crackhead was named Abandoned. I assume that he must have had a traumatic childhood that led him down this path. His father probably went to the shop to get some milk. which left him abandoned. Anyways, inside this treasure chest was some ambrosia dust, and we need to collect 100 of this to complete this quest. I then discovered some ruins that seem to be guarded by some people. Like, bro, this whole place is destroyed. What are you guarding? I took down a couple of these hunky blokes, but decided ultimately just to move on with my life. I saw a large statue in the distance, and the tourist in me wanted to go check it out. I discovered another one of these night seal chests and another sword that I can't touch. I then went to go and approach this statue so I could touch it. Instead, we found this treasure chest that had ambrosia dust in it. Whenever I see some floating glowing lights, I'm immediately attracted to it, and I have to get as close as possible to it and maybe touch it. This is how it's done, P. Diddy. Remember those bullies from a little bit earlier? Well, I decided to go over to them and shoot them in the face. Considering they're wearing a full set of armor, this fight was kind of difficult, but I've played Fortnite and the best way to avoid getting hit is to jump. Anyways, I put those bullies to rest and continued on my journey. And then I ended up in this area. It is called the Place of Power 1. With all the broken structures around here, I fail to see how this is powerful. And I just don't understand why these guards are trying to protect it. I tried to take these guys down, but they weren't having it. I was getting my ass beat. Instead, I decided to run away like a regular coward. Well, that was until my health started healing up a little bit, and I found the right angle to start stabbing this guy in the feet. With my health and confidence now renewed, I was able to take down a second soldier. Then there was just one left. I ran in, took a mighty leap, and stabbed him right in the chest, leaving him for dead. I could then go claim my riches, which was just a simple blade recipe and some ambrosia dust. I approached this random statue here and tried to restore it. Looks like there was something else I needed to craft to be able to fix this. Looking at my current quest, it looks like I need to fix this statue. It was nighttime once again, so I returned back to the night seal chest. We finally got to open this in peace, and we learned some new recipes and got some gold coins. We're back at base, and now I made this crafting station. Then I placed down this hunter's station. It's kind of dark in here as well, so I placed down these wall torches to help illuminate the area. These new workstations should allow us to be able to craft some new items. It was currently bugged at this time, so I couldn't actually make anything. This gets fixed rather quickly, but whilst we wait, we'll put down this campfire so we can start cooking some of the meat that we've gathered. The following day, and after a quick discussion with the developers, we were able to fix this issue, and now I can use these crafting stations like they're supposed to be used, which means I can make these giant stone weapons and go and fix the statues that were broken in the places of power. I can also make a slightly better spear than the current one that we have. With all of these issues sorted, I went to go pick on these bullies once again. They seem to respawn faster than those annoying stop oil protesters in the middle of the road. Once we finished with all of these pesky people, I was able to restore this statue, which then made this table arise from the ground. I placed some ambrosia in it, and it broke the statue that I just fixed. Seems kind of counterintuitive to me. I then interacted with this Place of Power table thing, and it gave me a new ability. Apparently now I'm immune to fall damage, and my melee attacks from the air perform a slam attack. Yeah, like that. There's 3 places of power total on the Isle of Arrival. We're now heading over to the second one to complete that one. And just like the previous place, we had to take out all of the soldiers here. This time I fixed this statue by giving it a stone spear, only for us to just destroy it again. But we did manage to score ourselves a brand new power. This one is called Dash. We jump in the air and we can dash forward. Not gonna lie, this looks pretty damn cool. We then go on the hunt for the 3rd place of power. Judging by the map, I thought it was inside this cave. The deeper I got into this cave, I soon realized this was not the correct way. We did find another place with some purple crystals inside and a whole bunch of crackheads, more than there was before. Confidently, I thought I could fight these guys off. I was wrong. I decided to make a run for it because I don't really like dying. I found the light at the end of the tunnel, got out of the cave, and was confronted by some more abandoned crackheads. Although I do pity these people for their traumatic experiences in their life, ultimately, I'm the main character in the story, so they need to die. We then finally found the 3rd place of power. It was just above the cave entrance. Once again, I took out all the soldiers, one by one, claimed my treasure from the golden treasure chest, and fixed this statue by giving it a stone bow, only to break it once again. But this time, the power that we earned was actually quite an epic one. This power was called Glide. Now, typically, I would think glide means you can jump and then you slowly float downwards. No, we can fly like the Greek gods themselves. Well, only for as long as our stamina would allow us to. With all of the places of power complete, we could now open the doors to this temple. Inside was rather interesting. There were these glowing tablets, a bunch of golden chests, and some music playing. We learned a whole bunch of recipes, and then we approached this. This is a portal that should lead us to another place. I'm assuming the big island on the map. But it seems as though we need to go and harvest a whole bunch of materials so we can fix this portal and use it. Among some of the new crafting recipes that I've just received was a pickaxe. So hi ho, it's off to work we go. Back to the cave so we can finally harvest this purple crystal, which turns out to be ambrosia crystals that I can later turn into ambrosia dust. I'm now definitely convinced that this is just an analogy for crystal meth. With this new knowledge, I went back to base and crafted up a grindstone crafting bench. Then I placed these purple crystals into it to grind it up into dust, preparing me for a good time. Moving forward, I have gathered enough resources to make some armor. So I crafted up a couple pieces and got dressed in this outfit. It's only a basic leather set, but we're starting to look the part. Well, if we want to get off this little island, we need to gather a whole bunch of resources to repair that portal. I need to grind up 400 ambrosia dust, 50 animal bones, 200 softwood, and 200 stone. Oh wow, look at that. We now have everything to fix the portal. Summon a champion? What the I summoned a champion. He's a big malaka. Luckily for me, this guy is clearly dumb and slow. So I just had to do some fancy breakdance moves worthy of the Olympics just so I could dodge his attacks and strike when the opportunity was open. Doing this quickly led to his defeat. I walked through the portal and then was met on the other end by a strange floating man. He's quite the yapper, but he also gives me a bunch of quests that can earn me gold coins. Basically, he's my boss and I'm now part of the working class. He then gives us a quest, which is our main mission for this video. We must defile the shrines of the gods. I don't know about you, but ruining God's shrines might seem like a bad idea. But if we want to earn that money, we must do what the boss asks, I guess. One of the first little jobs that he asked us to do was to go and collect some stones. Man, who would have known that the working class could be so damn easy? I had now gathered more leather, so I went back to base and crafted a new outfit. Now we have a red skirt, and I'm not gonna lie, this is definitely more my color. Anyways, continuing on, completing more quests and gathering new resources that I have yet to discover, like clay or even copper ore. I also wanted to try and find a new place that we could call home on this large island. At first, I thought this mountain cliff would be a cool sight since it has such a nice view. But before I set it in stone, I wanted to further explore so I didn't miss out on any other cool locations. In this valley, I encountered a clay golem, and in this instance, a game bug worked in our favor. I could just stand here and pelt this golem with arrows, and it wasn't able to move or attack me. Still looking for a base location, in the end, I kind of decided to build my base right here, on this little space of water. I placed down a few foundations and ran out of resources. Now, I could 1, harvest some resources from around this area and build this base back up from scratch, or 2, go back to my old base and tear it down, taking everything I had and bring it back to base to save me time and effort. Option 2 made more sense, I guess. I managed to craft a smelter as well, so soon we'll be able to make some metal tools, weapons, and armor. Day 6 of this journey, I finished placing down some of these crafting benches, and then we started placing down some of these new types of building blocks, since now we have unlocked lumber. And with this, we now have a little bit more aesthetically pleasing build. I'm now instructed by a quest to build a bunch of these pieces for our base. So I'll need to chop some of these trees down and turn them into lumber in our lumber mill. As we complete the quest for the big boss, we can then buy certain crafting recipes from him. So he gives us gold only for us to give it back to him. This is capitalism at its finest, folks. GG's, big man. I completed the building quest, but not the base completely. It will do for now. I'll continue to work on it over time. Next, I made this extremely useful contraption called the Forge Station. This epic crafting table is definitely going to allow us to make some really cool things. It makes copper nails. That's about it. It's now time that we go out and do some exploring, you know, search some different biomes and whatnot. We stumbled into the desert biome and found a new type of ore. I couldn't harvest it yet until I had made a forged pickaxe. There's so much of this map to explore, and it's made a lot easier with the ability to fly. But then we encountered a world border, which I expect to open up soon. Remember, this is a pre-release version of the game, so expect things to be different now. I somehow stumbled into an area with some different looking trees. Of course, I had to chop them down. Turns out this is hardwood and hard resin. I'm sure this will be useful later on, so I made sure to fill my inventory with it. Moving on, I discovered Apollo's shrine, and it was guarded by some soldiers. Now you see, guarding this shrine makes a lot of sense. Those ruins earlier, not so much. Anyways, once I beat down these silver soldiers, I went to enter the shrine and I couldn't get in. Turns out I need to complete a quest to gain access. For now, we head on back to base, and I'll get to that quest a little later, I guess. I did almost get my ass beat from those soldiers, so I think I need to make some better armor. This fancy armor station should help, I guess. Now with this crafting station, not only can you make armor, you can also make weapons and better tools. The crafting system in this is also pretty unique for a survival crafting game. I'm a fan. Good work, Traeger Games. I managed to scramble up enough resources to make a forged pickaxe. Nothing special, it's only made of copper, but this should allow us to harvest better ores to make better equipment. Out exploring, we find ourselves some iron ore. Ooh, this is gonna be handy dandy. I then ran into a patch of ambrosia dust flowers. You can only harvest these flowers at night, and these flowers seem to be guarded by a champion. So we got our Dark Souls battle style on and stabbed him with our pointy stick until he was sent to the afterlife. I noticed these purple glowing lights floating in the sky, not currently knowing what they were used for. Anyways, I moved on and then I found this gold ore. This is a W in my books. I then made my way down this mountain. Thankfully, because of my godly powers, fall damage isn't a thing, and we now landed in a spooky dark forest where we found some tin ore. I mined it up and was ambushed by some forest crackheads. I managed to beat these guys up and remain victorious against them, only to be taken out by my favorite breakfast. Damn, I spawned in back at base and then began this long trek back to our dead body. Not gonna lie, kind of spooky going through this forest without any weapons or armor. We managed to get our stuff back, so that's a good thing, I guess. I then decided it's probably best that we leave this dark forest for now. We will return when we have better weapons and armor. To regain some confidence, I went and tried to kill this deer. Stupid thing's really fast and kind of got away, so my confidence was not restored. Anyways, I made it back to this Malaka, aka my boss, handed in some quests and claimed my gold. I really need to upgrade my weapons and armor set, so we went and harvested a bunch of copper ore and some wood so we can fuel our smelter. I smelted up a bunch of this copper ore, but this process was taking too long. So I had this idea to make another smelter to speed this process up, and now we just wait until these copper bars are fully smelted. We now have a brand new copper spear and copper axe. With these upgraded tools and weapons, we should be able to progress even further now. Chopping down this tree was refreshingly a lot easier and quicker than before. I wasn't constantly waiting for my stamina to replenish so I could continue chopping it down. And with my brand new spear, I was able to take down these 2 pigs at once. Then I upgraded to be able to take 3 at once. I'm the master hunter right now. And now that we have a forged pickaxe, I had to return to the desert biome so I could collect this ore. I didn't know what it was going to be, but once we harvested it, we realized it was silver ore. And since we're already in the desert, I figured I'd just continue exploring it, even though there's a sandstorm happening right now. I mean, a little bit of sand in the eyes hasn't hurt anybody, has it? We then encountered this silver golem that kept throwing boulders at my face. Strangely enough, it's got a really good throw for someone that throws backwards. It was pretty damn tough too. Even with my brand new spear, it wasn't doing a lot of damage. I went to go hide behind these pillars, but also noticed that there was a chest on top of one of them. Again, thanks to my godlike powers, I could fly right up to this chest and gain what was inside it. Another blueprint. It's just so weird. Like, why blueprints? Why can't I have an actual physical item? Moving on, we stumbled across this clay golem. It's a little bit more squishy than the silver golem, so stabbing it a couple times managed to do the job. The desert is full of surprises. We even found a whole crop of ambrosia crystals here. It was obviously guarded by this golem, but you could kind of just hide behind the ambrosia crystals and not get hit. I thought I could hide behind this big rock, but apparently it can destroy the big rocks. Moving on, we discovered another temple, again guarded by some people who didn't realize that if they're in a fight, they have to actually hit you back. Maybe their eyes were blinded by the sandstorm. Anyways, this is the Temple of Ares, and Ares wants us to kill a bunch of golems so we can open up the shrine doors. On our hunt to go find some golems, we found another portal. Obviously, it requires a whole bunch of resources for us to be able to fix it, but I'm assuming this will be able to teleport us back to close to base. We encountered this other silver golem, and normally I would have ran away, but because we actually have a quest to kill them, I stuck around. Psych, this thing was kicking our butt, so we left. On our way back to base, we did encounter a copper golem. This one managed to be a little bit easier to take out than the silver golem. I'm assuming the type of resource that the golem is made out of determines the strength of that particular golem. On the plus side, when you kill a particular golem, it drops that particular resource. And in this situation, we're surrounded by a bunch of copper ore, so I might as well harvest it whilst we're here. I made it back to the boss man, got some extra gold coins, and then I learned the new recipe for the bronze ingots. But I think I want to start working towards being able to buy the forged hammer recipe and the greater smelter recipe so we can make some even better tools and armor. Back at base, I made some new copper armor. If I'm honest, I'm not a huge fan of this chest piece, but yeah, having my nips out like this is kind of freeing, I guess. Anyways, I went back out to go hunt down some golems, particularly these clay golems that I know exactly where they are. They're just tucked away in this valley. And we know that the clay golems are the easiest ones to kill. And just like that, we had finished the labors of Ares. Now we just have to go turn it in by opening up his shrine. I arrived back at his shrine and he had some guards there waiting for me. This time they actually were down to fight. I managed to destroy these simps of Ares and gain access to the shrine. It was kind of dark, so it's kind of hard to see exactly what happens right now. But there was a treasure chest inside, which unlocks some more recipes, and we destroyed the shrine, unlocking another recipe, I guess. A little bit further into the desert, we had stumbled across this creature that we had never seen before amongst other crackheads. I'm assuming this is the drug dealer, also known as a Gorgon. This floating lady is kind of tough. She can teleport, and if you can't predict where she is, she'll destroy you. Pretty sure she's got aimbot with this attack, but I managed to jump in and strike her when the iron's hot. Then I forgot that she can literally teleport to places that I didn't even know about, and I die. Now for the long, treacherous run back to our dead body so we can collect all of our gear. We managed to get here somewhat safely, get our stuff back, but the crackheads found me once again. I quickly dealt with these little idiots and then moved on with my life. After all, there were some glowing lights that I wanted to go investigate. These statues here seem to give you some sort of buff. Really, I think it just lets you run a little bit faster. I had a little bit of resources currently on me, so I went back to this portal and placed them into it. Repaired what we could at least. I wanted to try and repair this portal by gathering a bunch of resources that were currently around it. Wood and stone were obviously quite easy to gather, but we would find gathering animal bones kind of difficult. I had some animal carcasses on me. I just needed to make this butcher's table so I could start carving them up and gathering their bones. We carved up a couple boars and some wolves, but ultimately it wasn't quite enough. I went out exploring back into the greener area to see if I can find any animals that I could kill and collect their bones. There was no animal to be seen for quite a while. I got a little bit sidetracked and found this mountain path that kind of led up this road thing. Of course, this seemed kind of interesting since the music changed. I guess it must be like a harder area. Finding a Gorgon waiting for us right at the top usually suggests, yes, this is definitely a harder area. A bunch of crackheads as well. Usually these guys only come out at night. I wasn't quite prepared to be in this area currently and didn't feel like dying and having to run back to my dead body. So we escaped swiftly. I made it back to base and immediately started smelting up a bunch of this metal. Then I ran back over to the big boss man and handed in a few of the quests that we completed. I would really like this forged hammer recipe so we could upgrade our base and see what else it could make. I returned back to the armorer station and made some more armor pieces and a brand new shield. Our storage space was kind of running out, but I had all the leftover armor that we previously had, and I don't know how to just get rid of it. But I did remember you can sell stuff back to this guy. So anything that we didn't need, I just sold to him. Might as well make a profit from it anyway. I don't need it. And we're still a little bit of ways from being able to buy the recipes that I'd want from this guy. Knowing that I needed to get myself a bunch of gold, I checked my quests once again. I saw that this quest in particular, all I needed was to be able to contribute 40 iron ore. I went through all of my storage boxes, and guess what? I found 40 iron ore, ran straight back to the boss man, and claimed my 4,500 gold coin reward. With that, I bought the forged hammer recipe. To be able to make this forged hammer, I need bronze ingots and hard resin. Luckily, I knew exactly where to go to get my hands on some hard resin, but I needed to gather a little bit more copper ore so I could make these bronze ingots before I could make this forged hammer. Because in order to make bronze, you need to combine copper and tin ingots. The next day, I traveled back up this mountain. Remember with the purple lights and the big champion guy? All because I wanted to gather some more gold ore. Not that I can currently use this stuff because it doesn't smelt in the normal smelter, but because, well, just because I could. I then jumped back down into the dark, spooky forest. It was still daytime, so it was like less spooky than before, but still kind of spooky. Our goal this time was to explore this place a little bit more. We did run into one of these captain guys, managed to dodge roll out of his way a couple times too, and finally kill him. Stumbled across a few other tin ore nodes as well. Seems like the dark forest is where all the tin ore is. Oh, and the annoying crackheads are here as well. Further along the ways, we found another shrine of the gods. This particular shrine belongs to Athena, but I don't know where she is. I don't know if anybody else has Athena her. That was bad. Anyways, this place was guarded by a Gorgon, and I didn't really want to fight it. I just don't feel like we're up to the task right now. I ran away quite far and thought it would have de-aggroed by now. Looks like we have to fight this thing. I even ran into this forest that had some black trees in it. I figured this was going to be a new resource, and it was kind of satisfying chopping down big, long black things. That was until this scary lady came out of the dark and started following me. Now, normally I'd love the attention of women, but in this case, it's kind of creepy. I kept trying to escape, but I turned around and there was damn two of them. I knew now I definitely had to stand and fight. Their ranged attack is quite brutal, but they don't like being poked in the stomach. So wondrously, we were able to take them both out. So now I could peacefully chop down this big, long black wood. And out of it, we got dark resin and dark wood, a brand new resource. I then returned back to Athena's shrine. I wasn't sure if I'd gotten the mission yet from it, so I wanted to go over to it and see what I needed to do. First, I had to take out these guards, and then I saw it had an offering bowl at the front of it, and it requires 9 Athena medallions. My quest log is updated, so we can kind of find out exactly what we need to do here. It says something like we need to find some medallions from camps around this area or something. I searched around the area for such camps, but only found this tin ore. Continued searching again and found some more tin ore. And now we're out of the forest. Yeah, we didn't find what we're looking for right now. We did find another Gorgon guarding another god's shrine. I didn't get to find out what shrine this was exactly because we decided to leave. It was time to head on back to base with all of our brand new resources. I wanted to make some new armor and some new equipment and whatnot, but the smelting process just takes a long damn time. So yet again, I made another smelter. We'd gathered so much tin in the dark forest that I was now able to make a bunch of bronze ingots. And with those bronze ingots, we could finally make ourselves this forged hammer, which then unlocked a few other things that we could start building, like this charcoal kiln, a whole bunch of different decorations, and stone building pieces. Today we are cooking. Well, smelting really. We're making a whole bunch of new metal ingots. These smelters are damn hungry. They require a whole bunch of wood to keep working. Next, I made an alchemy station. I could have made this a while ago, but I kind of forgot about it. With this, we'll be able to make a whole bunch of different potions and stuff. Next, I crafted a stone cutter. Yes, we are now preparing to turn this base into a complete stone base. Obviously, the stone cutter requires a whole bunch of stone so it can cut into blocks like this. Then we can eventually turn it into our new base. I guess if we want to change our base completely and make it look good, we're going to need to harvest a whole bunch of stone. I spent a large part of this day just keeping the stone cutter full. Then I went AFK while the stone cutter did its thing. This actually took quite a while. Next, I used the alchemy station to make up a few different potions. Well, mainly just this healing potion, because we'll probably use it a lot more, and maybe the stamina potion, which comes in handy, really. Later on, we had a whole bunch of stone blocks that we could take. Then we could start changing out a bunch of our current building pieces and turn it into stone. Upgrading this base to stone was quite the good decision in my books. Stone clearly looks a ton better than the wood variants. I also decided to raise the roof just a little bit more too, and I placed the proper roof on it as well. Doing my best to try and make this place look as good as possible. We often ran out of stone blocks though, so we had to replenish them over time, and our base kind of wasn't finished, but we'll get to it. I handed in some quests, and now I was able to make the greatest smelter, and I can place some iron ore in it. The only thing is, I can't cook it up right now because we need this charcoal kiln. Yes, we can only use charcoal in the greatest smelter because normal wood doesn't work like the normal smelters. Also, if you haven't noticed, we have a whole different set of armor now. This armor to me looks a lot better than the previous set. We finally had some charcoal cooked up, so I placed it into the greatest smelter. Now we just have to wait for some iron ore to turn into iron ingots. Once we had some iron ingots cooked up, I then made myself this iron spear. It has 100 piercing damage, so it should be significantly stronger than our current spear, which only has 45 damage. Side note, we could finally finish off the roof of this base. I kind of like the idea of keeping this waterfront part open because I kind of like the view. Anyways, I think we spent enough time waiting around at base. It's time we head on out and complete these main quests. I decided to come back to the shrine that we found earlier so we could probably discover it and figure out whose shrine it is. Of course, I had to try and get past this Gorgon, but I have terrible aim, so that wasn't working out for me too well, was it? I tried to kite some of the soldiers away so I could fight them one-on-one instead of fighting a whole army at once. The Gorgon was the biggest pain in the butt. It kept teleporting all over the place. But even though she could fly, she couldn't fly fast enough away from my stabby toothpick thingy. Or spear, I think they call them spears. Once we killed all of the guards, we found out that this shrine belongs to Dionysius. He wants us to go back and make this ambrosia elixir and then drink it and then and survive the entire day. This god seems to really be laying down the peer pressure on me taking something that I probably shouldn't. Don't do drugs, kids. They're bad. Further exploring, we found another shrine, and this shrine belongs to one of the big boys, Poseidon. I kind of hastily ran into this place and got shot in the back by the Gorgon. I died. Now we have to trek it back all the way to the god of the ocean shrine. This was quite the run. It actually took us a lot longer to get here than I expected, and once we got here, there was double the amount of guards than before. I quickly grabbed my stuff and tried to get a little bit away. Firstly, I wanted to draw the Gorgon away and get rid of her, since she's the biggest pest of them all. With her gone, I was then able to take down the rest of these guards. I tried my best to use this kind of hill for cover and then try and fight them one-on-one if I had to. Using my bow seemed to be the most handy method. After they were all taken down, I noticed that there was an offering bowl in the front of Poseidon's shrine. The god of the ocean wants me to collect some shells along the beach. Kind of a weird request coming from one of the big three Greek gods. I thought it was weird until we got to here. Turns out the big man wants us to do a little bit of swimming. The gods gifted me with the power of flight, but swimming, yeah, not so much. My stamina bar was depleted before I could make it to the other end. Luckily, we did make it though without dying. I suppose I could use my flying powers to get past this little piece of water at least. And this is where we found the seashells. I managed to collect 20 of them. Then I made sure to regain my stamina before attempting to swim back over to the mainland. I still don't understand how we can fly, but we can't swim a short distance. Anyways, I put these seashells in the offering bowl, then gained access into his shrine. Inside was a treasure chest with a new crafting recipe, and we broke his shrine. Then we broke his shrine and gained the knowledge of the Poseidon Trident schematic. I'm gonna have to make that Poseidon Trident as soon as I can. That's freaking epic. We find ourselves in the dark forest once again. This is pretty close to Poseidon's shrine, so it kind of makes sense that we ended up here. But I also found that there was a portal here as well. Again, it needs to be repaired with a whole bunch of resources, but we had a bunch on us, so I fed it what we had and began farming up a few other resources. Mainly stone and wood, because obviously it's in abundance around this area. We already have the ambrosia dust and the animal bones covered. Now we just need to farm up enough stone and then we can open this portal. There was a whole bunch laying on the ground, and just like that, we had opened up this portal, use it, and teleport all the way back to basically right next to our base and the big boss man. I will admit, running back to our base, even though it's made out of stone, it's kind of basic looking like a box. If any of you guys get this game and do any cool builds, I'd love to see them. Maybe join my Discord so I can check it out. I had also discovered you can put ambrosia crystals into the greatest smelter, and it will turn into ambrosia ingots that we could then use to make the highest tier weapon possible. For example, this Poseidon's Trident would be a beast of a weapon if we used ambrosia ingots. To make ambrosia ingots though, we need steel, which we don't currently have. For now, we might stick to making some iron stuff because we obviously have a bunch of that currently. With a bunch of iron smelted, I then just went ahead and made myself some new iron armor pieces. It basically looks the same, it's just a different color. I then went out to go scale this mountain to go and hunt down some more iron. We're gonna need a whole bunch of this because I'm pretty sure I need this to be able to make steel later on. This part of the map is a foggy, mountainy kind of area, and there's much stronger enemies here than there are in any other part of the map, like bugged out champions that won't move. Maybe they've been hitting too much of that ambrosia dust. But most importantly, there's iron here. Continuing on over this mountain, I saw some purple flags and a gorgon. That usually means one thing. Excuse me, I just got to kill this gorgon and a couple people first. Yes, indeedy. This means that there's another god shrine here. This particular one belongs to the big man himself, Zeus. And Zeus requires us to kill some purple wisps. He mentions that they're on some higher ground. At this current time, I couldn't figure out where exactly they were. I noticed there was a big statue of Zeus on higher ground, so I figured maybe there's some purple wisps up there. Went as high as I could, and I didn't see any purple things here at all. Continued exploring, trying to find all the highest peaks, flying as high as we could possibly go, even to the point that we would get stuck. Luckily, there's an unstuck feature here. Unfortunately, no purple wisps though. We were right next to the desert, so I went to go check down there. I had some animal carcasses on me, so I went and chopped them up to get some animal bones and see if I could fix this portal. I didn't quite have enough animal bones. I was 3 short, and this was kind of devastating since there's no real animals around here for me to go get. I started running back to base, which honestly isn't really close at all. Ran into a pack of boars, and I killed them so I could collect their carcasses, and thought to myself, stuff it, let's sort this portal out so it's done. And just like that, we've repaired this portal so we can now teleport back to the desert biome whenever we desire. There was another resource that I needed to gather. I just didn't know how to do it for the longest time. It's called amber, and apparently I just need to mine these tree stumps, and once you break it, you get amber. For the longest time, I thought it was a lady. Turns out it's just crystallized sap. This is a kind of endgame resource, so I made sure to harvest up a bunch of it, so we don't really have to keep running back and forth to here. Even though we've got a portal, we don't really want to do that right now. The following day, I ventured out to go and hunt down some ambrosia crystals. Along the way, we found one of these braziers. I need to fill a bunch of these with ambrosia dust to be able to finish one of the god's quests. And then we found another patch of ambrosia crystals out in the open. I then returned back to base and placed all of the new items into their respective crafting benches. And next, I made the artisan bench. This is just a fancy bench so you can change the color of your armor and weapons and stuff. I changed my whole armor set to look like this. It's a little bit flamboyant, but all the other colors were kind of boring. Next, I handed in a couple quests to the big boss man and claimed some gold, and I really wanted to buy the steel ingot recipe. We're just short a little bit of gold. But luckily for us, one of the next quests we needed to complete was the building mastery, which requires to build our base out of stone, which we had already done. And with that, we've got enough gold coins to buy the steel ingot recipe. I went back to base to find out what I needed to be able to make the steel ingots. And I need to make carbon powder. I had no idea how to make this currently, but then I had a little idea. What if we put the charcoal in the grindstone? Yep, that's exactly how you do it. This is how you make carbon powder. And if you mix the iron ingots with the carbon powder, you then make steel ingots. Using this charcoal to make carbon powder and to cook up iron took quite a while, so I had to make a second charcoal kiln to keep up. I searched through the armor station to see if we had enough resources to make anything interesting in here, and I made the strongest bow possible and an ambrosia chest piece. This seriously gears up our armor value quite a lot. I really want to try and get as much of this endgame gear as possible, so we're just working away trying to make the steel ingots. It's a pretty long process making these steel ingots. I spend a lot of time just AFK waiting for stuff to smelt up or the charcoal to grind up into carbon powder, but now we were able to make a whole bunch of steel ingots. Then we could craft a new piece of armor, except we were kind of short on ambrosia crystals. Thankfully, I know a quick place to go and get some. Yes, remember that cave in the starter island? This is probably the closest place to be able to get ambrosia crystals. We just have to deal with some pests first, and then we can go ahead and start mining this ambrosia crystal. And after a quick trip to the caves, we could head on back to base and start smelting up some of these ambrosia crystals. This might seem a little strange, but I made an ambrosia forged pickaxe first. And dude, this thing is a beast. One hit and anything is gone. Literally, nothing is safe. I hit it once and we've completely harvested it. This is great. With this, I had to continue smelting up some more ambrosia crystals so I could work towards making some more better equipment. Again, this was taking a long damn time, so I had to make another greater smelter, you know, so we could speed things along a little bit. I was feeling a little sassy and decided to change the color of my armor once again. Honestly, in the picture there, I thought it was going to be red, not pink, but the pink does kind of look pretty good, I suppose. Next, we finally had enough ingredients so we could make Poseidon's trident. This thing's so damn epic, apparently it does frost damage instead of normal damage. Obviously, I had to test it out on the toughest creature I knew, the silver golem. I melted half of its health before it could throw one single rock at me. Then I'd go in to strike again and absolutely decimate it. Thank you to the wet god for making this amazing weapon. And now that we're pretty much powered up, I think it's time that we go out and start completing all of these shrines missions. We stumbled across this shrine. We hadn't actually discovered this one yet. Obviously, with Poseidon's trident, we were able to take down these guards rather quickly. We discovered that this is the shrine of Hera, and Hera just wants some pomegranate. I just have no flipping idea where to find it. I figured maybe it might be on that island over there. There seems to be a little trend amongst islands and stuff. maybe. I don't know. So we swam over to this island, only did not find any pomegranate trees. We did find this treasure chest though, with some frost arrow recipes in it. So I guess this trip wasn't for nothing at least. With all that time spent out and about, we returned back to base with a whole bunch of ambrosia crystals smelted up. With all of that, I made the ambrosia forged axe. One swing and basically every tree was gone. We had also saved up a whole bunch of these gold coins, so I bought this silver guardian recipe. I should be able to change the color of my armor once again, hopefully to something less feminine. We'll get to changing our armor set soon, but for now we're out exploring, trying to find ways to complete some of the quests given by the gods. And as luck would have it, we came across these trees with some red fruits growing on them. I chopped it down, and sure enough, it was pomegranate. So of course I went around chopping down the rest of these trees, collecting all the pomegranate. But before heading back to Hera's shrine, I saw that there was another shrine in the distance that we hadn't discovered. This was the shrine of Hermes, and Hermes wants us to go find other Hermes, which is just these like statues of a face or something. I then made our way back to the shrine of Hera, again defeating all the guards and gorgons outside. I placed the pomegranate offerings inside the bowl, entered the shrine, stole the stuff out of the treasure chest, and destroyed it, earning another recipe. Next, I really wanted to try and find these purple wisps. I returned back to the mountain near Zeus's shrine, convinced that there should be purple wisps around here somewhere. I went to the highest possible peak on this mountain, but there was nothing to be found. I was trying to look for clues in the quest instructions, but I really couldn't figure it out. But then it hit me, so we had to leave this area because the purple wisps aren't here. They're actually a lot further north, in a totally different place. We just had to scale a different mountain to get to them. If you remember, we found the purple wisps earlier in this video. I just forgot completely about these. I started taking him out with my bow and arrow and confirmed these were indeed the purple wisp that we need to defeat. And just like that, we had completed Zeus's quest and got jumped by this captain. Little did he know I have Poseidon's trident, and with that I was able to delete him from existence rather quickly. Before heading back to Zeus's shrine to hand in this quest, I went back to base and crafted up some new armor, which includes the Centaurian ambrosia greaves and this ambrosia headpiece. I then decided to recolor all of my armor to something that kind of suits me a little bit more. This silver and red look is definitely more my flavor. Now that we are fully geared up with all the best possible gear, it's time for us to complete our main quest and defile 8 shrines of the gods. First, we had to head back to the big man's shrine, Zeus, collect the item from the treasure chest, and defile his shrine. And now to complete this quest, we only need to defile one more god shrine. I had a pretty good idea on which god shrine we're going to defile. I just needed to find another one of these braziers. This was the final one that we needed to add ambrosia dust to complete Apollo's quest. And of course, Apollo's shrine is the closest one to our base, so we raced on back over there as quick as possible, killed all the guards, including a gorgon that wasn't there earlier, entered Apollo's shrine, got a new looking helmet from the treasure chest, and then defiled his shrine, completing all of our main missions and defiling 8 of the Greek gods' shrines. That's it for most of the content in this game currently. There's obviously other stuff, but for now, that's kind of it. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Until next time, peace.